No university is isolated. We are all part of an environment with whose actors we interact to a greater or lesser extent, in a direct or indirect form. Therefore, it is necessary to establish the guidelines for a solid communication strategy. There must be protocols that indicate how is this communicational line. It must be specified who has the responsibility of giving what type of communications, depending on their position and according to the nature of the situation. In this sense, communications measures of a proactive, anticipatory, and provisional nature will be taken, in such a way that there is no room for a bad improvisation. What do I mean by this? There are certain planned events and beforehand known circumstances. However, certain types of events are unforeseen, but it is possible to have well-structured means and resources to generate immediate solutions. If we don't prepare, the university will have to delay, to postpone its response, and by then it will be late. Or the transmitted message will not be as efficient. Personally, I have seen it. Universities that resemble the mythological Hydra, with many heads, directors, deans, administrative staff, which wash their hands because of a lack of initiative. Perhaps due to a lack of leadership, or maybe due to a lack of time and resources. These universities need to define responsibilities, specify who should report on what topic, and they could also make clear that certain type of communications are meant to be centralized by the public relations area. On that sense, through this video and its respective PDF that you may find in the description below, I'll detail my initial proposal for a communication strategy. Nature of the communications. There are two types, internal and external. Regarding the external communications, we have, for example, pronouncements, the opinion of the university facing a crisis in response to a social, political, economic, or environmental situation. Once again, I point out, the university is not isolated, it's part of a context, and if it decides to remain silent, it is also transmitting a certain position of indifference regarding any particular case. It is assumed that the university has certain areas, departments, arms or extensions that can analyze the environment to provide help to assist a certain social group. We are talking about psychological cabinets, law firms, business incubators, laboratories, consulting departments, or other bodies related to research and professional practices. Or in their absence, these situations can be addressed within our classes in related subjects. If this is the case, there must be communications mechanisms to publicize those underway activities by the university. Although scientific dissemination will be detailed in our third strategy, the communications department, through the public relations area, can give an advance in order to generate expectations, to build hype, so our eventual academic publications will have a better reception in the community. But beyond the scientific work that may be in development or not, the university, according to its corporate identity, can transmit an opinion, can communicate its position regarding to different circumstances, showing support, solidarity. We can give a statement, and in this sense, other types of external communications to be made, for example, are partnerships, the public officialization of our interinstitutional agreements, strategic alliances with different companies, communities, NGOs, foundations, government institutions, other universities, etc. in pursuit of the development of certain academic programs through corporate social responsibility, scholarships, and financial assistance, or under the model of your choice. But these relationships can be made public and must be communicated. However, external communications are not enough to keep our social network active. It is important to combine public relations with internal communication in such a way that may attract the attention of other key actors. And of course, there must be synergy with our other two strategies. Therefore, with regard to internal communications, these are divided into administrative and academic. Administrative communications addresses issues related to enrollment, monthly fees, holidays, schedule changes, campus modifications, student service, contact information, and degree processes, among others, of course. Typically, all of this must be transmitted by strictly internal means, unless the information is of interest of the entire student body. Internal communications of an academic nature will be public and will take place in our digital media. We speak, for example, of messages related to events such as a moon model, a stock market simulation, hacking tournaments, sports championships, forums, seminars, and workshops of all kinds. The activities to be considered could be organized by the university itself, as well as those generated by strategic allies. In addition, those achievements obtained by our teachers and students may be published. Proposed methodology. Regardless of the message to be transmitted, the methodology here proposed contains the following 7 strategic elements: contextualization, objectives, public, message, means, schedule, and evaluation of results. Since this is an initial proposal, I will mention some points to take into account for each of the elements indicated. Regarding to contextualization, it is necessary to incorporate a pastel analysis. This implies diagnosing the political, economic, socio-cultural, technological, environmental, and legal dimensions. Understanding our context will allow us to take decisions efficiently, as well as identify those situations regarding which we must generate an official statement. Regarding the objectives set by the communications department, I suggest using the SMART model. This is the acronym for those objectives that are specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-based. In this way, it will be easier for us to draw up an action plan and carry out the correspondent monitoring of our key indicators. Regarding the public, it is true that the university may intend to refer to a specific group. However, if we remember the current approach of 4.0 marketing, we must recognize that the impact of the actions and the communications of the actors present in our environment is omnidirectional. It is worth saying that by synergy, we are all related and we find ourselves under the gaze of others. In this sense, the public relations area should identify their target audience, but they should also identify all of the other key actors in our environment. For this, I suggest to use a stakeholder analysis. Such analysis should be at least level 2 or level 3 if possible. Some actors that we can mention in a non-limiting way are our students, the alumni network, the teaching staff, allied companies and institutions, the competitors, the media, government entities, donors, NGOs, and the immediate society. Beyond the message itself, we must be clear about who we are as a university, what characterizes us, what is our institutional identity. This identity must be reflected in our narrative, in our tone, the style and the words that we use, because it will affect the message we want to convey. Likewise, the corporate image and graphic line must be consistent with our identity. It is recommended to design sets with differentiated individual templates for those communications generated by each faculty or department versus the general communications representing the entire university. However, these models should be harmonious with each other, and we will admit thematic variations according to the season of the year. Regarding the media, this can be of our own as well as those from third parties. Let me give a brief brainstorming to expand our possibilities. We can hold a press conference or communicate some info internally by emails or an interview for the launch of a note. We can dialogue with influencers, bloggers. We can collaborate with an entity that has its own publication means. We could send a spokesman to participate into a podcast. We can publish a statement on the website of a press outlet. We can make an appearance in certain public events. Maybe we have a monthly newsletter. How about we have a gala? An event in the library or the gardens? Or well, to get modern, we must not forget to publish in our social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as we pointed out in the previous video, while we were talking about our funnel. And if we talk about digital media, we cannot forget our website and the learning management system if it has a section for internal communications. Additionally, we could consider using LinkedIn as a professional network. Or why not, we could take control of our Wikipedia page. However, we must select the ideal mean for each case, depending on the message itself and the interest of our public. In general, the announcements to be made can be scheduled. I recommend Mondays around noon so that the information has time to spread and be processed. As an alternative, we can use Wednesdays, especially if it involves face-to-face activities. However, in case of delicate situations, it is better to wait until Friday, so that during the weekend the situation will lessen, and on the immediate Monday we can give a subsequent response. Regarding emergency situations, our communications should not wait more than 48 hours. Finally, depending on the relevance of the case, we must define some metrics and indicators to monitor the performance of our communications. I recommend 3 general areas: reach, interaction, and response. For example, in the first instance, we refer to the number of views, on how many screens our communication appeared. Of those who have seen our publication, a certain number will interact. In effect, they will read it, they will watch the video, they will comment, share, leave a reaction. This is quantifiable. And as regards the response, we go more to the qualitative side. What was the type of the interaction? What emotions did our communication cause? Did it generate displeasure, empathy? We could even analyze the answers given by other actors from our statement, if there were any. The initial proposal for a communication strategy ends here. As you have seen, it is a complex issue that should be adjusted to the needs and circumstances of your specific university. If it is of your interest, do not hesitate to reach me. You have my contact data in the description of the video, as well as the rest of the proposal, both in English and Spanish, in YouTube videos and in PDF. I remain attentive to any questions. For sure, we can organize a meeting by video conference if you wish to. And I hope we will work together in a near future.